Level 1. The student. They never tell you how heavy the door is when you first walk into a Philippine engineering department. You're just a kid with a fresh pad of yellow paper, sitting under a buzzing, dusty ceiling fan, staring at a blackboard full of advanced calculus equations that look like an entirely different language. 5 years of your life get swallowed up by massive, dog-eared textbooks. Your weekends disappear into the black hole of thermodynamics, fluid mechanics, and machine design, where you spend hours hand-drawing PV diagrams, praying the cycle's actually close. Somehow, against all odds, you march across the graduation stage, but there's no time to celebrate. The very next week, you're packing a bag and heading straight into the grueling, exhausting 6-month marathon of a Manila board exam review center. You isolate yourself from the world. It's 2 a.m. in a tiny, humid boarding room, and the only sound is the frantic clicking of your Casio scientific calculator. You've pressed the buttons so many millions of times that the numbers have completely faded off the plastic keys. Your brain becomes an archive of empirical formulas and steam tables. You stare at columns of numbers until they blur together, desperately trying to memorize specific enthalpies and pressures, terrified that a single mental block on exam day will waste half a year of non-stop grinding. The morning of the board exam hits you like a truck. You're standing outside the testing school gates in the crisp morning air, dressed in the mandatory short-sleeved white polo shirt. Your hands are shaking so badly you can barely hold your transparent plastic envelope. For 2 straight days, the entire trajectory of your life comes down to a number 2 pencil. You sit in a suffocating room, carefully shading tiny circles on an OMR sheet, fully aware that a single stray mark or a misaligned row could destroy your dreams. The waiting period is a psychological thriller. It's midnight, 3 days after the exam, and you're staring at your phone screen, frantically tapping refresh on the PRC website. The server keeps crashing from the sheer volume of anxious engineering graduates doing the exact same thing. And then, the page finally loads. You scroll down through thousands of names, your heart hammering against your ribs until your eyes lock onto your own name. In an instant, the weight of the last 5 years lifts off your shoulders. You are finally a registered mechanical engineer. Level 2, the site engineer. You think you've conquered the world, but the professional world has a brutal way of humbling you. You open your very first corporate job offer letter, expecting a salary that matches your shiny new license, only to see a number that makes your stomach drop. 18,000 pesos a month. After 5 years of engineering school and a board exam, you realize your starting pay is lower than a freshman call center agent. You swallow your pride, sign the contract, and realize the real grind hasn't even begun. On your first day, they don't give you a fancy office desk. They hand you a clipboard, a glaringly bright orange safety vest, and a brand new, completely unscratched yellow hard hat before sending you straight into the chaos of a construction site. Welcome to life as a cadet site engineer. You spend your days walking through vast, dusty construction zones in 35-degree tropical heat. Your clothes are permanently soaked in sweat, your throat is dry, and you're inhaling concrete dust for 10 hours a day. By the time your shift ends, your expensive leather safety shoes are completely caked in thick, heavy mud. You look down at your boots and realize this is what engineering actually looks like. It's dirty, exhausting, and completely unglamorous. The hardest part isn't the physical labor, it's the ego check. You try to give technical instructions to the senior foremen and welders on site, but they just look at your clean hard hat, smirk, and exchange a look that tells you they don't take you seriously at all. A senior technician pulls you aside during break time and tells you bluntly, your fancy university diploma doesn't mean a thing out here. On the construction floor, field experience is the only currency that actually matters, and right now, you're broke. You spend your hot afternoons cross-checking massive, confusing blueprints against the actual installations. You quickly learn that nothing in the real world is perfectly level. Nothing aligns beautifully like it did on your computer screens in school, and it's your job to fix it. At the end of a 12-hour shift, you drag your exhausted body onto a suffocating, packed MRT train. You stand there hanging onto a hand strap, smelling like a mix of sweat, grease, and diesel fuel, wondering if this career path was actually worth the torment. 2 years of survival on the construction site finally give you enough leverage to pivot. You leave the mud behind and secure a job inside a massive, roaring manufacturing plant. trading the unpredictable weather for a controlled, industrial environment. Level 3, the maintenance engineer. You are now a junior maintenance engineer. You walk the factory floor in a crisp gray uniform, holding a diagnostic tablet, responsible for making sure these massive multi-million peso production lines never stop moving for a single second. In manufacturing, downtime is the ultimate sin. You learn to look at digital control screens not as machinery, but as a ticking countdown timer where every single minute of delay costs the company hundreds of thousands of pesos in lost product. Your mornings start with the heavy inspection of massive steam boilers. You stand in front of giant, vibrating metal hulls, learning to listen closely to the distinct pitch and hiss of the pressure relief valves to ensure the system isn't on the verge of failure. But machines don't care about your schedule. Suddenly, a critical raw material pump seizes up, alarms start flashing red, and the production manager begins screaming hysterically over your handheld walkie-talkie, demanding an immediate fix. You dive straight into the machine's housing. There's no time to look for clean gloves. You plunge your hands right into the mechanical assembly, getting your skin completely stained with thick, cold, slimy black industrial gear oil. With your heart pounding, you manually realign a massive blue electric motor shaft, muscle memorizing the torque needed on the heavy casing bolts. You throw the master switch back on just seconds before the hard executive deadline hits. The factory grind pays off when your salary finally hits 35,000 pesos. For the first time in your adult life, you don't have to look at the right side of the menu when you treat your family to a nice dinner at the mall on payday. But the work follows you after the physical repairs are done. You spend your late evenings trapped at an office desk, logging numbers into massive Excel spreadsheets, typing out exhaustive preventive maintenance reports until your eyes blur. You finally shut down your computer at 9 p.m. As you walk out of the heavy metal plant doors, you look up at the dark sky, realizing you spent the entire day inside a windowless concrete bunker, completely cut off from the outside world. Level 4 HVAC. By year 5, you make another tactical leap. You move into the high-stakes world of commercial skyscraper infrastructure as an HVAC and chiller specialist, stepping into massive, pristine mechanical rooms deep beneath the business district of Metro Manila. You are now the master of building climate. You control vast networks of central cooling towers, multi-ton water chillers, and complex air handling units that keep thousands of corporate workers breathing comfortably every single day. It's a thankless job until things go wrong. When the central AC unit feeding the executive penthouse fails on a hot Tuesday morning, the entire corporate ladder suddenly treats you like the most important person in the country. You crawl into tight, dark ceiling access panels with a flashlight in hand. You navigate through a labyrinth of dusty galvanized iron ducts, tracking down a single stuck valve damper actuator that's choking off the cool airflow. You pull out air filters that look like they haven't been touched since the building was constructed. It's a reminder that a mechanical engineer's job is often to clean up years of neglect to keep modern society running seamlessly. When you do your job perfectly, you are completely invisible. Thousands of people sit in cool, perfect comfort, entirely unaware of the complex thermodynamic balancing act happening right above their heads. Your technical expertise earns you a promotion to Senior Operations Engineer. You step into a leadership role, managing a dedicated team of technicians, teaching them the field tricks that were once used on you when you were a green cadet. You develop an engineering instinct. You can walk into a mechanical room, place your bare hand on a massive compressor shell, and instantly know if a bearing is failing just by feeling the frequency of its vibration. Your salary climbs to 60,000 pesos, and they hand you a corporate badge with the word Senior printed clearly under your name. You realize you've finally earned the professional respect you fought so hard for. Yet the constant low-frequency hum of giant building fans and chilled water lines follows you home. It becomes the soundtrack to your life, a permanent reminder of the mechanical infrastructure you carry on your shoulders. Level 5 Project Manager. By year 7, you hang up your tools and step fully into the high-stakes arena of project management. You move from the mechanical rooms to glass-walled corporate boardrooms overlooking the sweeping city skylines. The grease-stained uniforms are gone. You wear sharp corporate attire, and your yellow field helmet is replaced by a pristine, white engineer's hard hat, the universal mark of a manager who controls the project budget. You are no longer just managing machines, you are managing massive financial assets. With a single stroke of your pen, you sign off on millions of pesos worth of imported heavy mechanical equipment and subcontracts. Your phone becomes a war zone, ringing every 3 minutes with urgent calls from subcontractors, suppliers, and site foremen, all demanding variation orders, material approvals, and instant logistical solutions. Your daily life is dictated by complex project timelines and Gantt charts. You stare at rows of colorful scheduling bars, constantly calculating buffer times and fighting aggressively to avoid any weather or logistical delays. Site inspections evolve. Instead of walking the dusty floors, you sit inside a cool, air-conditioned vehicle, monitoring construction progress using high-definition drone feeds that map out the mechanical layout from above. The hard technical work transitions into the art of corporate diplomacy. You spend your afternoons in long, calculated negotiation meetings over expensive lunches, aligning interests with wealthy property developers. You find yourself arguing fiercely with sharp quantity surveyors over the literal line-item costs of spare chiller valves, defending your engineering estimates with bulletproof asset data and technical specifications. When a major milestone is successfully met, you treat your hardworking site crew by ordering dozens of boxes of pizza, remembering exactly what it felt like to be the hungry junior engineer on the ground floor. You successfully deliver the massive commercial development project right on schedule, earning a substantial corporate bonus check that signals your transition into the upper tier of the local industry. At year 10, you aim for the absolute peak of local licensing, becoming a professional mechanical engineer. You spend your nights compiling a massive technical report detailing a decade of your own designs. The final report is a heavy, gold-embossed volume containing every single fluid loop, heat load calculation, and structural machine design you've ever mastered throughout your long career journey. You stand before a highly critical panel of legendary, veteran board examiners, defending your mathematical choices and design philosophies under intense, sweating, professional scrutiny. Your signature on a blueprint is suddenly transformed into a premium service. A single press of your official PME dry seal stamp is now worth tens of thousands of pesos in legal design certification fees. Level 6 Engineering Firm Owner. You take the leap and establish your own private engineering consultancy firm, proudly displaying your framed professional licenses and official board certificates on a modern, clean office wall. Major factories, commercial malls, and developers hire you directly to conduct comprehensive safety and compliance audits on their heavy infrastructure, trusting your decade of experience implicitly. You inspect intricate high-voltage mechanical interlocks and heavy factory equipment loops, ensuring total operational safety and regulatory protection for hundreds of industrial workers. Your financial landscape changes forever. You break free from a rigid, capped monthly corporate salary, transitioning into high-earning independent design fees and corporate consulting retainers. You become a highly respected mentor within national engineering chapters, standing on brightly lit stages to deliver inspiring keynote speeches to roomfuls of eager, nervous young graduates. But the world evolves and you realize you want more than just local success, you want absolute freedom. You pivot your entire business model into the cutting-edge space of global remote CAD design. You leave the heavy traffic jams of the city behind for good, investing in a high-end, dual ultra-wide monitor workstation right inside the absolute comfort of your own home studio. You begin contracting directly for multinational technology and manufacturing companies located across the United States, Europe, and Australia, delivering elite 3D modeling and structural design assets. Your hard-earned professional fees land directly into your digital accounts in foreign currency, completely insulating your earnings from local inflation and domestic economic limitations. You spend your quiet days transforming raw, messy engineering sketches sent by global clients into incredibly precise, production-ready 3D mechanical models that are ready for factory assembly. You run intense finite element analysis simulations on your computer, stress testing structural components under immense virtual loads to fix failure points long before the parts ever go into physical production. Corporate office politics disappear. Your entire professional communication happens asynchronously through clean, organized Slack channels, allowing you to work completely at your own preferred pace. You look out your window at the pouring rain, watching the distant, frozen headlights of a massive Manila traffic jam, deeply grateful that you never have to waste your life in that commute ever again. Your mornings become peaceful. You sip a slow, premium espresso brew you made yourself, sitting comfortably at your desk in casual loungewear, completely relaxed before your working day even begins. You reach the absolute pinnacle of career autonomy, operating as a global automation consultant. You don't just take freelance gigs anymore, you scale your operations into a premium digital engineering agency. You adopt a fully nomadic lifestyle. You travel across the beautiful islands of the Philippines, effortlessly managing your corporate design clients while sitting on a balcony overlooking the ocean waves. You build a valuable digital portfolio of pre-engineered 3D CAD assets and component templates that sell continuously to manufacturers online, creating an engine of passive income while you sleep. You made it from a broke, terrified student crammed in a review center to a dominant global engineering force. The journey through the fire is complete, and you won.